Welcome back, everybody. This is your three-man booth. I'm Dan Salem with Phil and Bud, and I think all anyone can talk about right now is the NFL draft. We sort of watched most of it. No, I got 30 minutes in. Did you guys watch the rest of the draft? We went live, but it's a mess, right?
I think I made it to about pick 20, maybe. I think I saw the Giants both picks. Then I just lost interest because I didn't really care what was going on. And I know we tried to get as many picks as we could the other day, but why do the Arizona Cardinals need to take 10 minutes to make a pick that everyone knew they were going to pick for the last 4 months? That was insane. There's no need for that.
They all went so fast after that too. It was unbelievable. Like,
so I did
20 was fast. Like, oh.
So I thought I heard something today, or maybe it was yesterday, that the NFL asked each team that you wait at least 5 minutes per pick. That way the picks don't get bottled up.
Okay.
What's the point of having the clock at that point? The clock doesn't, I don't know. It just really bothered it that we sat there for 10 minutes. We knew exactly what, and so actually, I don't know if you guys heard this, they didn't start taking trade requests for Josh Rosen until they were on the clock.
Really?
How ass backwards is that?
Well, I was never pretending to think that organization was run well. I don't know if it's true, but I read Frank Caliendo called the Cardinals pretending to be John Gruden offering.
Really?
I don't know if it was true, but as I read that today.
That is absolutely hilarious. That's a good one.
Well, I listened on the radio because I was in the car, so I listened to the NFL Network Sirius station, and those guys were funny, and they were interviewing the picks like 4 or 5 picks later. That was way better than the actual broadcast, I got to say. I hadn't heard of any of the people doing it, but they did a really good job. Like, it was opinion-based, so it was much less PC than the studio broadcast.
Well, yeah, they have canned wording they have to say. They probably can't even say certain words. And listen, I'm a proponent of Sirius. I've been telling everyone to get it. I love it. It's no holds barred. I love it. I probably should have done the same thing.
Yeah. Well, so the real question is, did you watch anything after the first round?
No, as a matter of fact, I did not, because I went and saw Endgame on Friday, so my entire Friday night was spent in a movie theater.
Okay. Yeah, I followed along on my phone to see who the Jets picked and see if there's any controversial, like where the QBs fell, but it's not good TV after round one.
I was not overly impressed with the Jets draft, other than Quinnen Williams.
Yeah.
Who was arguably, probably to some people, was the best player in the draft. So,
yeah.
But you were against him.
I would have taken a defensive end. Instead of a defensive tackle. But listen, Greg Williams obviously knows what he's doing. He has a system that's put in place, and
I think his goal is to have everybody on that line named Williams. I think that's his goal.
I like it. Yeah. So I always feel like you should take the best player available if they are like definitely better than your need position, unless it's a quarterback, which is always a gray area. And so I was very happy they picked Williams. I think he's just – I think Allen will be really great for Jacksonville also. So it's like –
I would have liked Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So you would have taken Josh Allen over Quinnen Williams?
Again, I thought that they needed a defensive end. They still have no outside pass rush.
Well, am I the only one who thinks that everyone is falling over themselves for these pass rushers, that it's a little overblown?
No, it's not overblown, because look at the teams that have the best defenses in the league. Khalil Mack is an outside pass rusher. All right.
Bears didn't win a Super Bowl.
No, but the Rams have a big, strong pass rush, and
if they had a kicker that could kick a field goal, they might have been.
I'm just saying. It just seems like everybody was falling over each other.
So if you don't have a great pass rush, you better be strong up the middle and stop the run. So the Jets should be good there, unless everything falls.
They're weak at cornerback.
Yeah, they can still re-sign Mo Claiborne, but
which apparently they came out today that they're not opposed to.
Yeah. So every team's got weaknesses, as long as it's just if your defense can cover them with the scheme and other players. And so I'm excited for Greg Williams because he has this fire and attitude about him that the team has never really had since Rex Ryan left. And Rex Ryan kind of had it, but Greg Williams kind of has a mean version of it. So, it'd be interesting to see on the field how that plays out. Now, I'm not a proponent of what he was found guilty of doing in the targeting and all that shit. That's terrible for the game. But the energy behind it is good. So I'm excited. I'm enjoying watching him build his defense. The rest of the draft, though, I mean, they drafted every single need position. They basically checked all their boxes. So I have no idea about these guys. The pass rusher they did get will be hit or miss. He'll be a home run or a flame out, and there's no in between really. So we'll see.
So Bud's brother was going nuts that in the 4th round they drafted a tight end. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I don't get it either.
He must have been the best player on the board. I don't know. I mean, I would have liked to see. I don't know what else I would have liked to see. They obviously don't like their tight ends. That guy was.
Well, Bud's been saying it. Bud's been saying it for years that they haven't had a tight end. They don't utilize the tight end right.
Yeah, but what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. But
well, the rookie last year was it Herndon? Is his name?
Yeah, Herndon.
Yeah, he was great. Well, so this guy that they drafted is supposed to be the best blocking tight end. So they basically got another lineman that's a tight end in those packages. So, I mean, if Gase likes to run those with Le'Veon Bell out of the backfield, he's an extra blocker on the end. It's not going to split out, but could.
So every time then you pull Herndon off the field, they know that it's going to be a run.
I mean, maybe they go double tights. I mean, they never did that in the past, but I don't know what kind of offense Gase is going to run.
And you're pulling a wide receiver off the field because you're going to have to claim one is eligible.
Yeah, but I mean, that's fine if it's Herndon, and then you got Bell as a receiver in the backfield. So we haven't seen.
But that takes a wide receiver off the field, like a legitimate weapon.
Except that the Jets only have a couple of legitimate wide receiver weapons. So are you pulling somebody better or worse off the field? I can't knock this offense till I've seen it. We haven't seen it. I mean, it's brand new. We don't even know what it's going to be.
We have seen it. It was in Miami. It sucked.
Nah. So when they had Tannehill at his best, it didn't suck. When they had Jay Ajayi, it didn't suck. So last year they sucked, but I don't think Miami's a good judge either. But he had too much control down there. I'll be curious. I don't know. I don't have expectations for what the offense is going to look like. I like the parts that are on it. I really like that they drafted an offensive lineman. I would have been pissed if they didn't get at least one. But I have no idea if these prospects are any good or not. So outside of Williams, that's the real bottom line.
So overall, what do you give the Jets draft?
Oh, a grade?
Minus.
D minus.
C.
Oh, C minus. Okay. I mean, they only have 5 picks, right?
They had, I think they had 6, and they traded 1 to get back to 2. So, or they had 7 and they traded 2 to get back. I don't know, but yeah, they only ended up with 5 picks.
I'm gonna give it a B plus. They got the best player in the draft or the second best player in Williams, and I like the reach at defensive end in the second round. I mean, McCagnon doesn't have, or not second round, third round. He's got a decent third round record, and this guy was first round grade, but then he like
got some baggage.
He tanked the combine. He has baggage, but I mean, Greg Williams. If any coach is going to whip him into shape, it's going to be the guy it's going to be Williams. So there's a decent shot that he could turn into a pretty productive player. So I mean, they hit their positions of need. And they don't think that they really made any reaches. They were really safe. I think the writing's on the wall that McCagnon played it very safe because his job's on the line. So unlike Gettleman, who made a real reach here or there because he must feel pretty secure in his job for another couple of years. So I think that was a big play in the way he drafted both of them. But
do you buy into any of this stuff that's been on the radio today, Phil? Obviously, Dan, you wouldn't hear it, but this whole notion that the Giants are racist.
No, that's just stupid. No, that's so dumb. Give me a break.
So that's an interesting topic because
it's dumb. It's so stupid.
It's not real. But the fact is,
have the Pittsburgh Steelers had a black quarterback recently? No.
Well, there's not been a lot of black.
Well, they had Cordell Stewart.
Yeah.
They didn't draft him.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
Yeah. So all I have to say is, if the Giants owner favors one race over the other and is asked his opinion, his inherent bias will play itself out, regardless of whether it was intentional.
I heard this earlier in the week. It wasn't today. And I thought to myself, maybe I should go through the league and see how many teams only had white quarterbacks. There's got to be first. All right, we'll just get into it because that's a stupid conversation.
Probably 50%. It's probably 50%.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Hopefully I don't cut out because my connection's going in and out. But if Dwayne Haskins was so good, why didn't he go number one? If Dwayne Haskins was so good, why did he fall to the Redskins at 15? Someone answer that.
May I interject before you talk? So I don't think any of these quarterbacks were so good. I'm not sure any of them were legitimate top 10 picks. But so I think the Giants needed to take a quarterback. They were in a position to get their guy that they liked best. And they didn't. And they were right at 6. So, like, the top 3 slam dunks were gone. Actually, no, one of them wasn't. So
why is Kyler Murray a slam dunk number 1?
I think he might be very good. I had no idea what the Cardinals were doing. I had zero idea why they would draft a quarterback when they didn't need a quarterback, and they had 3-star players sitting in their face. It's unbelievable that they that's just. I mean, that's a home runner again, or they're all going to.
Let me throw this out at you. So we obviously know how Phil feels about my question. So if the Giants suck this year, which they probably will, they probably will not be very good, and Eli is probably, I would have to think that he's not going to make it through the season, right? If you're drafting a quarterback in the top 10, they're going to have to see how this kid plays, right? Say you're terrible and you get the number 1 overall pick next year.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the number 1 pick next year, Phil?
I couldn't answer that. I couldn't answer that question because
you don't know who the number 1 pick next year is going to be.
I know who it's going to be. It's going to be Tua.
Okay. So what do you do?
It's a tough question.
Okay, if they knew they were going to suck this year, why would you take a quarterback at 6 who played crappy teams and did not play well in college football when you had Josh Allen sitting on the board still?
Because he's friends with the Mannings. That's why they picked him.
So what? So am I. They're not drafting.
You're not good at football right now.
Lori's shaking her head. This is just common sense.
So do we like to approach things where we're giving people the benefit of the doubt or where we're assuming that they're stupid? Because if we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, Eli already saw this kid play and has seen him develop. If they got a rapport, he's the best person that Eli should have been coaching to take over.
So the other thing that I heard is that they would have drafted Haskins, but the problem was that they felt that he would want to start right away, and they wanted somebody that would be able to be comfortable sitting a year maybe. But it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
I got news for you. Dwayne Haskins isn't playing next year because you still have Case Keenum there. And, I mean, Alex Smith isn't playing next year, but with it.
Yeah, we lost Phil.
Phil got cut off.
You're just going to throw Case Keenum to the side?
No, absolutely not. I mean, so we're going to be in the same same game by October 1st. If Washington's 3-1 with Keenum, Haskins isn't coming in. If they're 0-4, he's coming in. Same with
Agreed.
By October 1st. Eli's out by October 1st if the Giants are 1-3 or 0-4. If they're 2 better, he's staying in. So it's this, but I don't think any of these prospects should see the field this season. They're not good enough. Like, that's the difference between last year and this year. The guys last year were good enough to struggle through their rookie year on the field. I don't think these guys are.
So here's one thing.
League though now.
Here's one thing I always like to pose. Yes, we know Tua is going to come out next year. He has the benefit of literally playing with the most NFL-ready team in the entire college football. Take Tua off that team and put him somewhere else. Is he going to put up all the numbers he's doing in Alabama? Probably not.
No, probably not. But also, he's in a pro system already. Whereas Duke, he's in the classroom going to watch basketball games.
Well, all right. So put again. I'm not going to say I completely agree with the pick, but what I will say is let's take Daniel Jones off of Duke and put him on Ohio State. You think he's going to put up the same numbers that Dwayne Haskins did? Probably.
Well, I mean, you didn't have anybody to throw to. He didn't have an offensive line at Duke, but he still had to play the ACC. So
agreed with the champs, by the way.
So I got to say, I like the pick of Daniel Jones by the Giants. I didn't like it at 6, but value is so subjective. If I like him on the team, I have to like him at 6. So I can't hate on the pick because I like him on the Giants. I don't think there was much separating these 3 quarterbacks, and he seems like a decent fit for the Giants, considering
he's also the tallest and the biggest of all 3. We all know Kyler Murray's height at 5'8". Daniel Jones is 6'4" and 220. He's basically an Eli clone, as everyone's been poking fun at. I mean, he's essentially an Eli clone, and it seemed to work out for us the first time. Will it work out now? I don't know. But I'll tell you the argument I can't stand. I cannot stand the argument that everybody knows. Everybody has their crystal ball. Everyone knows he would have been there at 17. I don't buy it. I do not buy it, especially when you had 4 teams who presumably needed quarterbacks. You have no idea he was going to be there at 17.
Well, Miami was going to trade for Rosen anyway.
Were they, or would they have? Yeah, I think they would have, because I like Rosen better, but there's no guarantee they wouldn't have drafted him.
I mean, if someone can prove to me they know he would have been there at 17, then I have nothing to say. But to blindly, I mean, listen, Dan, Friday morning here, you would never know that 31 other teams made picks on Thursday night. It was wall-to-wall Giants coverage all day.
So why are people so upset? Because they wanted Josh Rosen instead, or what's the true?
Because they're all phony fans who just want to lash out because I don't know. Let me tell you something. For all these phony fans that are all, this reminded me of the little kid who cried when the Knicks picked Kristaps Porzingis a few years ago. How'd that turn out?
Yeah, I mean, it turned out well until they traded him before the big case.
Right. Well, that's not the point. The point is, everyone's like, "Oh my God, we're so outraged at this pick." 1, because you don't even know the guy. 2, because you got to give these guys a chance. Obviously, he's not going to win a Super Bowl next year. You can't grade any of these guys for at least 2 or 3 years. It's just, I don't know. It was wall to wall bashing on Friday.
Yeah, it's a little silly that they're this upset because they needed a quarterback. They got a quarterback. They got the one that I think thought was best. I don't know.
I mean, literally, these guys do this for thousands of hours per year. You have to assume they know what they're doing, right? Whether or not it turns out right, you just have to assume.
I mean, it's pretty easy to hit on your first round pick when you're not taking a quarterback. It's 50-50.
Hey, first round picks fail 50% of the time. It's fact.
Yeah, on the quarterback side, I feel like it's probably 70-30. It's really even more.
Yeah, that could be true.
Because if they get thrown to the wolves so quickly on bad football teams, and then they're just tossed aside because everyone hates them, and it's.
So all right. So let me throw out this scenario. They pick Josh Allen. Everyone's happy. Then Denver doesn't trade out of 10 because I found it a little convenient that Denver traded as soon as Daniel Jones was gone, but that's just my conspiracy theory. Let's say. Yeah, let's say Jones was off the board, Haskins was off the board. Here it comes at 17. The Giants have no quarterbacks to choose. They got roasted last year for not picking a quarterback. They would have gotten roasted this year if they missed a quarterback because they wanted to wait and play that game. They were in a no-win.
Better than this one.
I know, but they were in a no-win situation though. If they took one, they get roasted. If they didn't take one, they get roasted.
I agree. I think that Gettleman had to pick a quarterback, or he would have really, really had the hot seat on.
He could have traded his 17th pick to move up if they wanted to.
That's also true. Yeah.
They had what, 13 picks in the draft? Right. Yeah. So they could have traded their 3 and their 1 to move to 10 and still gotten Josh Allen and then picked up.
But they love Daniel Jones. They obviously want him to be Eli's successor. They're not going to get Tua next year. If they have the number 1 pick, they'll trade it. They're not going to draft that guy.
I got no horse in this race. I don't really care. All I'm saying is that your general manager says that he's not going to reach for players, and it just seems like he reached for this one. That's all I'm saying.
He may have, and you know what he did? He tied his job to this guy because that's how.
Yeah.
Yep.
He tied his job to Darnold. He got off the hook with Hackenberg because Hackenberg was a late enough pick, and they never even put him on the field. And obviously, that was a smart decision. But these people are tying their jobs, like the Arizona Cardinals. So here's the real thing, because these quarterbacks can succeed or fail based on their offense around them, right? Darnold was up and down last year, basically based on the opponent, whether they got pressure on him or not, because the Jets' offensive line was in. And so if they pressured him, he didn't have a good game. If he was protected, he had a good game, which makes me think with a little bit of offensive line, he's going to do a little better, another year of experience. Arizona, Washington, the Giants. Not very promising offensive line situations for any of those guys.
Kyler Murray's going to get killed in year one. He's literally going to get hit on 50% of his dropbacks.
Do they still have Sam Bradford there as his backup, or
No, they released him.
okay? I mean, so they don't have any backup option right now. Then that's a shame. Yeah, you're bugging my face. I don't. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, the Jaguars just lucked into him. I want to say that for a second because that their defense was already poised to bounce back, and then you're adding him to that unit.
Well, they basically just replaced Dante Fowler.
Yeah, it's scary good.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Tampa Bay was doing with the pick before it, not taking a quarterback.
Well, nobody knows what Tampa Bay is doing anyway.
And I don't know what Oakland.
I never got the feeling that they were going to draft a quarterback. No one ever even brought it up, and I didn't think they were going to do it.
And maybe they're tanking for next year's number one. I don't know, but
you got to think that Jameis Winston doesn't have much leash.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's funny. Everybody was killing the Raiders, too, for their pick, but the Raiders picked up the number one defensive end in the entire country who just won a national championship. I don't know why everyone was really killing them for that pick. It wasn't that bad.
No, it's because there was 3 top guys in everyone's mind and then the rest, and they didn't pick one of them with the 4th pick. So, I will
say I do like the Giants' second pick at 17 when they got the tackle from Clemson, the same team there.
That was smart.
That was a good pick. And then they literally just went cornerback, linebacker, cornerback, linebacker. Then they threw in a wide receiver and an offensive tackle. But it was basically defense heavy the entire rest of the way.
Yeah. Most of the draft was real defensive heavy.
Yeah.
That one wide receiver that everyone was talking about, I'm blanking on his name because 5 receivers went before him. But nobody went.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, Metcalf. I think he fell all the way to the 3rd round.
Yeah. To Seattle. Because Doug Baldwin apparently is going to have to retire.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a shame. Yeah.
Did you see the Patriots drafted a punter?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
But they had like 11 or 12 picks, so you could really waste one on a punter if you really wanted to.
I saw that. Of course, ESPN had, I think it was Woody Johnson saying the Patriots had the best draft. I didn't listen to his BS audio, but come on, Woody, give me a break.
Yeah, but he's not the only one. A lot of people are saying the Patriots have the best draft. So come on.
They drafted last in every round. How good can it be? But they always have a good team. They field a good team. It's basically like saying I like Bill Belichick. Come on. But,
yeah, they know he knows what he's doing.
I don't even know who the general manager is there because of
Bill Belichick.
He's not. Is he the GM? Or are you just saying it sarcastically?
No, I think it's Bill Belichick.
Oh, he actually is. Okay. No, that would make sense. I don't know for sure.
He might as well be because nothing happens in that team unless he signs off on it. So he might as well be the GM too.
And they drafted a 4th round quarterback or late round quarterback.
They did, and I forget. Someone was talking about it today, and I forget where he came from. And basically, the host on the show was like, the Patriots did it again. They swindled everybody and drafted the next quarterback without anyone even realizing it. Again, whether or not that's true, we'll see.
I think he was from Missouri, but I'm not positive. There's no way to know, especially a late round pick.
Of course not.
It's such a crapshoot. That guy could never see the field. They've drafted so many quarterbacks over the years with Tom Brady at the helm.
But so now the real question is, when does Daniel Jones see the field? And I said it last week or a couple weeks ago. The first 4 or 5 games for the Giants this year are relatively on the easier side. So if they're 4-1, 3-1, whatever it is, Eli's not going to come off the field, and nor should he in that case.
I feel like Eli Manning is like the perfect representation of irony. He's going to have a great season in his last season, and I think this is his last.
I pray that happens. I pray you're right.
It doesn't mean the team's going to win a lot of games. I just think he's going to do well. Like, he always did well when no one expected him to. And, it's his last laugh, so to speak. Peyton went out on top. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't see the field until the final month of the season.
Peyton Manning was carried in his last season, but yeah, nevertheless, yes, he went out a winner.
In the sunset with the Super Bowl championship, even if he didn't earn it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, now we got nothing until what, June, when OTA start. So it's going to be a quiet month of May, and
there's a deadline in May where teams can sign players without sacrificing a compensatory pick. I think it's 15th or 17th. So I was reading today that some of these big names like Adnan Sue will start getting signed once there's no compensatory picks involved. So because that was what Mo Claiborne came up for that reason too, that he's not going to go anywhere until teams don't have to give picks for him. So it'd be intriguing. Like, where is Sue going to land? And what's he got left in the tank? Because that's a big name, but real.
And then I forget when it is, but they have a supplemental draft too at some point in the next month or two. I forget when it is, but you don't even really hear about it, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, you hear more about the undrafted players getting signed, which McCagnon for the Jets has been pretty good with that over the years. He grabbed a couple guys, but again, I don't know anything about him. So do you like that they make a big deal of Mr. Irrelevant, the last player drafted? Now, like, they have a whole big fanfare for this person.
Who was it?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
He's irrelevant, but
It was made by the Patriots, though, right?
no, they traded it.
No, it doesn't matter. We'll probably never hear him, but so it probably doesn't matter.
A presentation and a jersey that said irrelevant on it for him. It was funny.
So I was looking at your article that you wrote today about
about the Jets.
about the Jets article.
Yeah, I mean, it was about their first round picks and that they've been pretty much on a hot streak. I mean, Darren Lee is not a great player, but he's been a starter for them. They've had a really good track record over the last 5 years. It's impressive, in my opinion. I mean,
Darren Lee won't be on the team by the end of the training camp.
Yeah, you don't think they'll? I mean, I think they'll trade him if they don't keep him. But
Well, I mean, they picked up C.J. Mosley. I mean,
yeah.
how many inside linebackers do you need?
Well, that's a big. If their inside linebacker, if their draft picks pan out, they might cut him. But you need depth. I mean, you need depth in case.
Yeah, but you got Avery Williamson, you got C.J. Mosley. I mean, but it's hard to take him off the field. I mean, he's been a starter the last 2 years.
Yeah,
he definitely has value. Last year was by far his best year as a pro.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did well last year. I think he was running the offense last year, right, with the coach in his headset, and I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean,
defense, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not offense, defense. Yeah. I mean, I would expect a trade market for him to emerge if the Jets aren't going to keep him, but I don't know. I mean, I like him. He wasn't like a bust, in my opinion. He's going to find another team to play for if the Jets cut him. So, like, they've had a good track record. I only looked at the Jets. I didn't look at the Giants' track record in the first round.
They're going to trade him. They're not just going to outright release him.
Yeah, well, yeah. So then they'll get something in return. So.
Right. I mean, they owe him enough money that they got to get something in return for him. You just can't cut loose.
Yeah, but again, I could see them keeping him for depth purposes because he's a starter. I mean, I'm not praying injuries, but injuries happen, so you need extra guys. I don't know what the defense is going to look like under Williams yet. Well, I guess we'll find out once training camp starts. But yeah, my point was that they nailed it. I mean, it's easy to nail it when you're drafting the top 10, but Lee was the lone outside the top 10 pick and he's been decent. He was at 20. It's easier to miss when you're farther back in the round. But and then my brother wrote an article on BuzzChomp also about how the NFL draft is like a lie, basically, because it's they always say that you're going to draft the best available player, and yet almost everybody drafts for need. And I took away from that he was happy with the Giants picks, but he absolutely hated them. So, and then I don't know, you read into it what you want, but it was interesting that they truly do spin a bunch of lies for us for this event.
They're still lying too, because you can't. I would love one of these days to have a GM, who's been out of the league for a few years, write a book or a memoir or something, just all the things that happen behind the scenes that we never know about, trades that never happen, just the thought process. Like, I would be so interested to know what happens, behind the doors or on the phones with all these GMs. It just the trades that never happen, like what are offered, I would love that. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but that would be extremely interesting to hear, like, that kind of stuff.
So his point was that there's no real such thing as value, right? Because if a player succeeds on becoming a starter, it was a very good, valuable pick. And if he doesn't, it was a really bad, valuable pick. So we're here. We always debate value and where these guys are drafted, but we won't know if it was actually valuable until they are playing or not. And at that point, it's either yes or no. So it's completely arbitrary conversation with 0 point. Yet we roast a team like the Giants for their poor value choice.
That's what I'm saying. If in the next 5 years or whatever, and being happy here, if Daniel Jones wins a Super Bowl, I don't want to see any of these people that have been bashed from anywhere near the Canyon of Heroes when they have their parade, because they're all phony.
Yeah,
they're all phony.
But like, it was amazing how many Giants fans came out of the woodwork to bash their draft. When it did. It was nauseating. Every show that I listened to, from the start of the day till the end of the day, there was one topic, and it was nauseating. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't even listen to Francesa, but did you hear Francesa?
I don't listen to him.
All right, I
listened to him this morning when he called Boomer and Gio to rip him a new asshole.
I would have loved to hear that one.
Obviously not around for that, but.
So were they ripping the Jets too, or just the Giants?
Just the Giants.
Okay.
Nobody cares about the Jets.
The Jets make a great pick, and no one talks.
Nobody cares. We didn't talk about this last week, but I will disclose that I'm a little, well, I'm always aggravated, but they signed Le'Veon Bell to this big contract, and then there's voluntary workouts, and this guy don't show up.
So voluntary is in the name.
So yeah, and
I get it, but he hasn't played football in 15 months, dude, and he just got to sign a new contract. He's with a new team. Don't you think it might be good to show face?
So I understand your reaction, and I read the article that was behind that headline, and it seemed to indicate that he had shown up before that for workouts. And
he did,
and he met the coaches and he got to know them, but he wasn't there for the voluntary team interactions, but he was there the week prior. So like,
that's the other weird thing. They had Josh Rosen come to the voluntary team activities in Arizona, knowing that they were probably going to trade him. I don't care what they tell you now, but he showed up like he was going to be like he was going to play there.
I got to give him credit, though. I mean,
yeah, but what happens if he tears an ACL? Well, but what if he tears an ACL in voluntary workouts? Then his trade value is 0.
Yeah, that was bad on the Cardinals' part. So I wasn't as pissed at Bell not coming to voluntary workouts, because they're supposed to be voluntary, and this is supposed to be the off season where they can train wherever the hell they want. Now, granted, new player, new coach would be nice. They did sync up earlier. Tom Coughlin ripping his players apart for not showing up when he knew why they weren't there. They called and told him why he wasn't going to be there for a personal reason, and the guy was working out somewhere else, and he knew it. And he knew he wasn't going to show up, and he knew why, and he still came after him. And then the NFLPA had to come back and say, stop this. They're voluntary for a reason, and we're going to have to sanction you if you're going to continue to push this voluntary involuntariness.
That's the Tom Coughlin way. If you're on time for a meeting, you're late.
It was that bothered me. Like,
that's the way it is.
But come on. I understand why you're upset at Bell, but they're voluntary for a reason. These players.
No, I get the whole language behind it. I get it, and but I just feel like he didn't show up last year to minicamp. He didn't show up the year before to minicamp. Now we're on a new team, supposed to be turning a brand new leaf, and yeah, they're voluntary. But don't you think that you might want to start off on a good foot? And
are OTAs voluntary?
What?
Are OTAs voluntary or are they mandatory?
Mandatory.
All right. So that'll be your first true test then.
Well, if he doesn't show up for that, we have a big problem.
Yeah. No, that I 100% agree with. There's a huge problem if he didn't show up then. I mean, this is a little different right now. And
you just gave the guy $60 million. I mean,
but you don't want him to pull something
for a weekend, for literally a weekend. Put the rapping career on hold and show up.
No, I know, but that's always the thing. All these veteran players, they don't like training camp because one, they it wears on their bodies. Two, they don't want to get injured. So you're paying this guy $60 million. If he tweaks a hammy week 1 of training camp, you're screwed.
Yeah, but so
chances are he probably will because he hasn't done anything.
No. We all played football. If you don't practice a couple months, I'm giving you credit. Anyways, so we played sports. If you don't practice a couple months before the season, you are going to enter the season in a position to get hurt worse than during the practice. You need to practice to get into game shape.
I agree with you.
You can't practice thinking, I hope I don't get hurt, or you're definitely going to get hurt. So these players need to practice. They don't have to practice 100%, but they need to practice.
That's why the first 3 weeks of the NFL season is hard to watch, because these guys aren't in shape and they're not in game shape yet.
Well, and that's what the preseason is supposed to be for. So I'm on the opposite side. I think you play to play, and if you get hurt, that sucks. But you can't play to not get hurt, or you'll never be any good. Quarterbacks do it, but other positions can't pull it off.
Well, overall was an interesting weekend. It was a very long weekend. So did you end up seeing Endgame, or did you not see it?
No. Our friend offered us tickets Friday at noon to come with them and see it that night, but we couldn't get a babysitter, and it was like a 9:30 showing. So I was like, so we'll see it another time. But I almost saw. I was this close.
You're missing out.
Spoiler free. Go see it.
I did a spoiler-free review.
No, I know. That's why I was asking, because I was watching it and I was like, they could have made this whether they saw it or not. So I was curious if you actually saw it.
No. We didn't get to it yet, but we want to see it. I've heard very good things about it.
I will say this, that if you have not seen the other ones.
Oh no, I've seen all the movies, or I've seen most of them. I think I missed like
you got to see 90% of them in order to understand, like at some points what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I missed the last.
Yeah, I mean, you could get away with it, but you'll get the gist. But obviously, you'll be like, oh, I get that, or oh, I remember that. So I don't want to give out too much away, but you'll enjoy it.
Very good.
1.2
like 3 hours either.
No, and $1.2 billion is incredible for an opening weekend. That'll never get topped. I don't think it'll ever get topped.
It did play 24 hours a day, so.
Well, but there was people in the. I mean, Bud went what? You went yesterday at 11 o'clock. The place was packed in the morning.
There wasn't a seat to be had on a Monday at 11 o'clock. The lady next to me brought a packet of tissues. It's not a joke. I'm dead serious.
I know. I was just people crying over a superhero movie makes me chuckle. That's all.
It's a good movie.
I'm sure. I asked my brother because he's a Game of Thrones fan. He said he liked the Endgame better than the Game of Thrones episode. So that told me what I needed to know. So.
Yeah.
Who likes Game of Thrones?
It was a very long weekend of entertainment. I was exhausted after Sunday night. I will say that. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So excellent.
Well, we're gonna get cut off in a second. We'll wrap it up. We'll talk again next week and see. We get some new news and notes to discuss here. Football season doesn't sleep.
If not, we're going to be talking NHL playoffs, but we'll see you next week.
All right. See you.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.